4-7 percents and decimals. Any percent can be written as a fraction with the percent as the numerator and 100 as the denominator. So let's take a look at this example. There's two different methods. So our example is going to be 7%. And so for the first method, you write the percent as a fraction. So that means you take the number that's in front of the percent sign and you write it over 100. Now you write that fraction as a decimal, and we write decimals the way that we say them. So this is 7/100ths. So you put it in the hundredths place. The next method is dividing it mentally. So the percent symbol means to divide by 100. So you just remove the percent symbol and then divide by 100. So if it was 7%, you remove the percent sign, and so the number is just 7. Now you take that number and you divide it by 100. The decimal point currently is right behind the 7. When you divide, you actually move the decimal point 2 places to the left if you're dividing by 100. If you were dividing by 10, it goes to 1 place to the left. Dividing by 1,000, 3 places. So we're going to move this decimal point 2 places to the left and then put a 0 as the placeholder. So you see here that we have the same decimal for the same percent, just found it 2 different ways. Pause the video to try a few examples. Write each percent as a decimal. The first example is 8%. I'm going to use this example and I'm going to write it as a fraction first. So we have 8 over 100, and this is said as 8/100ths. The next example, I'm going to move the decimal, so I'm going to divide by 100. So if I do that, I move my decimal point 2 places to the left, and I get 0.852. And then the last example is 54%. Same thing, I'm going to move my decimal point 2 places, so I get 0.54. We can also use this when we are doing real-world problems. So this example says about 6 4/5% of the total area of the United States is water. What decimal represents this amount? So in this example, you want to turn this into a decimal first, so that you can make sure you want to turn the fraction into a decimal first. So we have 6 4/5. If we turn that into a decimal, 6 is in front of the decimal point, and then we have the 4/5. So now you want to get your denominator to be 10 or above. And so in this case, let's get it to be a 10. So then the numerator would be an 8. So this would be read 8/10. So here's my decimal point, and that's my 8/10. So now to turn this into a percent, because that's originally what it was, we move the decimal point 2 places to the left, so we get 0.068%. So all they really wanted here was you to take that 6/5 and turn it into a decimal, but leave the percent sign. So now we're going to look at how we write decimals as a percent. So if we have the example 0.4, again, there are 2 methods. The first one is you write it in fraction form. So this one is read as 4/10, and then you turn that into 100 as the denominator. So you multiplied the bottom by 10, you multiply the top by 10 and get 40. So then we know that when we're writing a percent, the numerator is the number with a percent sign. We can also multiply 100 and just add a percent. So if our decimal is 0.4 When you multiply by 100, you move the decimal point 2 places to the right, which gives you the same answer we got at the first method. So just as a review, to write a percent as a decimal, you divide the percent by 100 and remove the percent symbol. To write a decimal as a percent, you multiply the percent by 100 and add the percent symbol. Pause the video to complete the lesson review. Write each percent as a decimal and each decimal as a percent.